What's going on, guys? It's Greg with Eyes, and today we'll be checking out a tutorial in the new STX Surgeon 900. This is the first video in a series of a couple. We're going to give you guys tutorials to string some of the latest heads that we've reviewed. So today is the Surgeon 900. In here I've got our Orange Storm Striker Hero 3. You can buy that stuff down the link in the description if you want to string your own head. Get all your string materials right there. So taking a look at this pocket, it's pretty simple. We're going to have the 9-diamond top string, which we've taught you how to do before. And I would recommend go rewatching the tutorial just to refresh on how to do that. And then for the actual pocket placement, it's going to be a good pocket for the surgeon right in the middle of the head, but with a little bit of a tendency to drop low. And since the head is narrow, not too tight of a channel, so this is a great pocket for attackmen and one that we're recommending if you're not sure where to start. So to string this head, you're going to need to know how to do knots and ones. It's really simple. We'll put those tutorials in the description as well. And without further ado, we'll get into showing you how to string the sidewall pattern. Okay, so starting on the Surgeon 900, we've got the top string on the first sidewall hole. So we're going to start our sidewall pattern on the second sidewall hole, going through the outside of the hole with our string, and from the front to the back of the first 9-diamond row, and that's where we're going to come back around and loop it. So right through the same sidewall hole again, and we'll just repeat that process one more time to create 2 loops, attaching that first sidewall hole to, or the second sidewall hole to that first hole of mesh. Get that nice and tight, and then last thing is just to go through from the front to the back of the mesh again. And now we're ready to start with our knots. So you can see here we've got our second hole of mesh, and we're going to skip 2 sidewall holes and come down to this one and go through the outside. We're going to be doing a knot here. So through the outside of the sidewall, you can see we skipped 2 holes there. And then from the front to the back of that mesh, and then around and from the top to the bottom of that string. So you want to go around and create that overhand knot. And again, we have a tutorial for this, which is going to show you in detail. You want to make sure you take all the slack out. So if you're unfamiliar with knots, I would go back and watch that tutorial really quickly. So there we've got our completed knot. It's nice and tight, and it's pulling that mesh diamond down really tight. So then we're going to do another knot, this time only skipping 1 sidewall hole, coming down to this one, through the outside, through the mesh, same process, and back around and through that loop, and then pulling all the slack out really tightly, pulling the mesh to the inside of the head to make that channel as tight as possible. And now we're going to do a series of 2 more knots without skipping any holes here. So we're going to go through the next hole, no skips, another knot on the 4th diamond of mesh, pull that down. And since it isn't pulling it so tightly, you want to make sure that that's seated really well. And then another one on the 5th hole of mesh without skipping any sidewall holes. And what this is going to do, since our pocket's a little lower than normal, is gradually pull that mesh tight so we get that nice channel without it being too tight and getting the ball stuck in there. So you can see we've got our knots, and then we're going to go into a series of ones. So one, you're going to go through the mesh first. So from the face to the back of the mesh. And now we're going to go through the sidewall. So without skipping any holes, you're going to do that 1, the outside of the sidewall, and then we'll do 1 more 1 without skipping any holes. So through the mesh, pull that diamond up and out of the way, and then through the outside of the sidewall, and then back and under that loop so that the mesh is just riding on that string. And now we're going to finish this out with 1 more 1 without skipping any holes. So we've got 3 knots in a row and then 3 ones in a row without skipping any holes, and we're going to finish with 2 more ones, skipping a hole between each. So again, up through the mesh, skip a sidewall hole, come down to this one here, finish your 1, and then for the last one of our sidewall pattern, just to make it sit a little more nicely at the bottom, I like to come from the back to the mesh to the front, and then you want to come from the inside of the sidewall to the outside so that you can tie your anchor knot right there on the sidewall. Just a little loop, string through, and make sure it's really tight to the sidewall so it's not going to get loose over time. All right, so as you got your sidewall pattern strung up, make sure you break it in really nice, and then you've got to worry about bottom string and shooting string. So for this pocket, since we want that drop down kind of low, we've got this loop bottom string on the next 10 diamond row. So just weave it in between the rows on that next 10. So you can see here's that last sidewall hole, and then the 10 down here is just a simple loop through. And then for shooting strings, just like we recommend for pretty much all of our tutorial pockets, 1 nylon on that 9 diamond row and 1 shooting string, skip a row below it on the next 9 diamond row. And that's gonna make sure it's legal for all levels of play within that 4 inches. And also isn't creating any hook. It's just a really smooth, nice release that's gonna give you a little feel better. So thanks for watching, guys. Make sure to like this video if you liked it, subscribe if you haven't, leave down in the comments any other heads you want us to do tutorials for, and stay tuned here for highlights, tutorials, gear reviews, picks, all kinds of stuff this college season.